know it, how unsophisticated the Brijabasis were. He wanted to become a blade of grass in Vrindavan, the most unsophisticated of all roles within Sri Krishna.
Jaya Ram, Jaya Ram, A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Shasthotra Sutta Sri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki Jai. Ananti Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Jai. Ramacharya Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki Jai. Sri Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Sri Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki Jai. Sri Jagannath Puri Dham ki Jai. Sri Giriraj Govardhan ki Jai. Yamuna Mahi ki Jai. Ganga Mahi ki Jai. Bhakti Devi ki Jai. Tulasi Devi ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. My gratitude to everyone for taking so much time and trouble to come here. And I welcome you to your home. Home is wherever we are remembering Krishna, remembering his pastimes, remembering his abode, remembering holy names, especially where we are with Krishna's family, the Vaishnavas, immersed in loving devotional service. Srila Prabhupada wrote that wherever the devotees are together in a spirit of devotional service, then that place is none different than Goloka Vrindavan. I mean, and then Prabhupada explains, because the spirit of Vrindavan is that everyone accepts that Krishna is in the center of their lives. Everyone is without envy, without selfishness, without false ego. Everyone is what pleases Krishna. Krishna loves to see his devotees unified in a spirit of affection. And when we chant the holy names in that spirit, when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, when we render service, so many types of services there may be, whether it's in a city, or a town, or a village, or a farm, wherever we're thinking as a family what pleases Krishna, that is Goloka Vrindavan, not different. Nothing is automatic. In the bhakti path, nothing is superficial, artificial, external. External meaning without substance. Bhakti is about the substance of consciousness. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. Even when you're in Vrindavan, unless you're in this state of consciousness, you cannot feel it, you cannot see it. You only see the apparent coverings. And similarly in our temples, in our congregations, in our communities, in our homes, to the degree individually and collectively we are thinking in a selfish state of mind, where we put ourselves as the center, then there is bound to be conflict. And that's the basic root of all pollution in the world. It's the pollution of the consciousness. I am this body. What is in relation to the body is mine. I am the controller, the proprietor, the enjoyer. Bhakti is very simple. Bhoktaram jagatapasam sarva maheshwaram sudritam sarva bhutanam gyatmamam shantim. where we simply accepted Krishna as the enjoyer, the proprietor, and he's everyone's best friend. If we make friends with Krishna, we can be happy in any situation, every situation. If we don't make friends with Krishna, we can't be happy no matter what arrangements we try to make in this world. And making friends with Krishna, Yegatamam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajamyaham. Krishna reveals his love and his mercy, which is forever. It is revealed according to how we surrender. Bhakti is the art, the science of transforming material energy into spiritual energy by simply making Krishna in the center. By transforming an ordinary place into Goloka Vrindavan, the highest planet in the spiritual world, through consciousness. Goloka Vrindavan is a big family. The biggest family. Because there are unlimited people there. This material world is only a fraction of the spiritual world. Material world, the spirit souls that are living here are more or less in a prison house. The actual free souls are all in the spiritual realm, the Vaikunthas. So it's a family, a real family. Because everyone understands and respects their relationship with each other, because they understand their relation with Krishna. When we understand our relation with Krishna, we understand our relation with every living being. When we understand our relationship with conditioned souls, then we are on the mission of compassion of the Lord. And when we understand our relationship with other Vaishnavas, then there is the free flowing of the spiritual world. That is all important. Krishna comes to this world yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata, again and again, simply to teach us this lesson. And he sends his devotees, and historically we see what type of difficulties devotees go through just to help Krishna to share this message. They've been crucified, they've been beaten in 22 marketplaces, they've been in situations of poverty and persecution, so many difficulties. Just in our own lifetime, difficulties Prabhupada endured just to share this message. Srila Prabhupada, he wanted us to understand, to the extent we can actually create a family of devotees, that Goloka Vrindavan consciousness, not only will we be happy, but we can attract so much of the world to find that happiness. And Srila Prabhupada told us that the principle was simple living and high thinking. And this is something that should be pursued wherever we live. Whether we're living in the penthouse in Manhattan Island in a skyscraper, or whether we're living in the kunjas of Brajbhumi on the bank of Yamuna. The same concept is there. Simple living, high thinking. Simple living has many aspects. In essence, it means to be without duplicity, without ulterior motives, without false ego. It means we just want to serve. We're happy chanting Hare Krishna, taking a little prasad and serving. Whether we're billionaires, millionaires, upper middle class, income, or whether we're brahmacharis in the ashram, which really doesn't fit in any status of society these days. Grihetako, Banetako, Bhakti-Vinod-Doctress. Whether you're in the forest as a renunciant or living in the cities as with a family and occupation, if we just chant Krishna's name without offense, we'll be above the happiness and the distress of this world. This is what our acharyas came to give us. In a philanthropic spirit, people want to help elevate people above the sufferings of this world. But transcendentalism is something so much deeper and beyond. We want to transcend not only the sufferings in this world, but we want to transcend the pleasures and happiness of this world. Because we know that pleasures and happiness of this world, the Gita tells us, are the source of miseries. They keep us bound to the repetition of birth and death. The happiness and the distress of this world both have their own unique ways of distracting our consciousness away from Krishna and away from the goal of life. This is all important. A very significant part of Srila Prabhupada's purposes was to create rural communities based on the principles of simple living and high thinking. High thinking, in essence, is Jivara Swarapoy Krishna Nityadas, that I'm an eternal servant of Krishna. Gopi Bharatur Padakamayor Das Das Anudas. To serve Krishna means to be the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. And that consciousness is what pleased Krishna, and that consciousness waters the root of the existence, and that consciousness is my happiness, and it's the real happiness I could give to others. What we have to be very careful of is whether it's temples, farm communities, whatever it may be, we can build structures. But if we do not cultivate the attitude of bhakti, that non-envious attitude of putting Krishna in the center without ego, then it's a shell with nothing inside. A husk of rice looks just like rice, but there's no nutrition, there's no taste, there's nothing. So whatever we do on the level of projects is a shell, it's a husk. It the purpose is inside is the rice. Inside is the substance of Krishna's grace. It nourishes us, empowers us. And that's a question of our attitude. Srila Prabhupada, he was such a visionary. If only we really took serious some of the things he said and how he said to do it in the early days. Sometimes in our illusions we just coast along thinking everything's just so all right. But the reality is, the ecology of Mother Earth is exploited, polluted, and literally endangered. And how important it is to protect the earth. This is not a detail. This is a prominent priority. The protection of Mother Earth. The earth is our mother. To exploit the earth is to disgrace our own mother, to abuse our mother. No, we may have our biological mother, and we don't think we're disgracing her. Because you have your mother, and I have my mother, and everybody else has their own mothers. Yes? Well, what do we all have in common? What brings us together? Recognizing that the earth is everyone's mother. The cows, the goats, the sheep, the insects, the trees, all people of all castes, all religions, all nationalities. Wherever there's life on earth, Mother Earth is the mother. And what we learn in our Vedic literatures is she is a person, Bhumi Devi. She's the consort of Varaha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She's an expansion of Lakshmi. She's an expansion of Radharani. Isn't it nice to have a mother like that? And a common mother? And the fact is that Mother Earth provides, Krishna, through Mother Earth, provides 100% of everything for every moment of everyone's survival. Our biological mother, when we're little babies, we're totally dependent on her. Yes? If she doesn't give us milk, if she doesn't, well, what are we going to eat? We don't know how to eat, we don't know how to walk, we don't know how to defend ourselves, we don't know anything. We're totally helpless, dependent on our mother. What she provides. Every one of us, whether we're world champion athletes, PhD scholars, or whether we have massive industries, whoever we are, we can never be anything beyond a helpless infant baby in need of the love of Mother Earth. She provides all the food, all the water, all the air. She provides us our body. Everything. We're born of her, and she is sustaining us 24 hours a day. And every wisdom culture, in its grounding states teaches people how to actually honor and live in harmony with Mother Earth. But today, we become so incredibly distracted that we forget this principle. It's a sacred principle. It's a principle that never goes outdated. Because however much technology we create, the ingredients of all the technology is provided by Mother Earth. We take, and when we grow up, we're supposed to reciprocate and protect. But he was seeing it from a perspective of the holistic welfare of humanity and all living beings. He wasn't just speaking a sectarian Hindu concept. He was speaking something very real. And today, with all the pollution in the food and the water and the air and everything, there's a rise of such disease due to our lifestyles. Cancer is so much on the rise. So many other diseases. And it's unsustainable. All these chemicals, putting them in the ground, you get a lot of money fast, but the topsoil is destroyed. And as time goes on in future generations, there will be no topsoil. Nothing will grow. There'll be massive droughts. The whole idea of global warming and greenhouse effects. We see what's happening in the world today. And it brings about mass wars. If you really get down to the wars of the world, they're usually fighting over natural resources. Well, according to some of the greatest geologists and scientists, thousands of times more precious than oil is today. And we're fighting wars over oil, over energy. In the past there were wars fought over coal, and now oil, and it's being depleted. There will be much, much greater scarcity of water. People will be fighting and killing each other over water. This is not just an idea. The way the world is going, the changes of the earth to the unnatural living. This is what is happening. And young people in the colleges in the West, they understand that there's no future unless there is a major ecological revolution from the way we're living and thinking. The tendency is we just roll along on a roller coaster, and it's just easy to just go on and go on. And the byproducts of the problems, that's somebody else's problem. That's the tendency, because it's just going so far. Prabhupada, when he was on the Jaladuta, when he was sitting in Radha-Damodar temple before he even came to America and started the ISKCON society in form, he was meditating on these farm communities. teach people how to actually live a healthy life in harmony and respect for Mother Earth. To show an example. Now myself, I became a devotee in Vrindavan. And in those days, Vrindavan was such a natural place. The whole time I lived in Vrindavan, actually after I left the little ashram at the beginning, I never saw a single toilet. Sadhus and Brajavasis, we just went into some field somewhere. Quite natural. Lived under trees, lived under the stars, it was beautiful. Then in 1972, when I went to New Vrindavan, this was Srila Prabhupada's main teaching when he came there. How to actually create an exemplary community on the basis of these principles, with Krishna in the center. His greatest happiness, devotees could bring all sorts of very opulent, as we pronounce today, sophisticated foods from New York, Pittsburgh. Srila Prabhupada especially loved what grew at New Vrindavan. If he heard that it grew here, nothing made him more happy as far as food. I remember sometimes people would bring eggplants and all sorts of cauliflowers and incredible amounts of sabjis and vegetables. There was just a little weed called pokeweed, which just grows everywhere. You don't even plant it, it just comes out of the ground. Pokeweed. And Prabhupada is eating pokeweed pakoras and pokeweed chutney and pokeweed sabji. It is because he wanted to emphasize growing natural things in a sustainable way. Today in the West, the organic industry is flourishing like anything because thinking people know it's the only future for the world. Without chemical pesticides and without chemical fertilizers to actually grow food in a natural way. There's really no alternative eventually, except to just get diseased and kill life altogether. This is the way Prabhupada taught us. And in one sense, in one sense, it's eternal truth within this world. And devotees took it seriously, but somehow or other distracted. Because sometimes you get distracted unless there's an immediate necessity, unless it's urgent, unless we can't live any other way. And we just take the easier ways. It's easier to go to the supermarket than to grow something. It's easier to spray poison on a plant to kill the insects. Of course, that same poison's going to go in you and whoever eats it. And to actually, do it in a natural way. But it's Krishna conscious. And the cow is the mother. Srila Prabhupada saw so many tens and millions of cows being slaughtered. if we can start with a cow, then we can actually teach people the glory of ahimsa, sacredness of life, which will extend to all living sentient beings. So we may ask, why we're putting effort into this project? For several reasons. Primarily, Srila Prabhupada wanted it as a priority of his legacy within this world. At New Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada, he would go out to the fields. It's not that the fields are necessarily, it's just that simplicity of not depending on this ugra karma, artificial way of life that the world has come to. Srila Prabhupada very much emphasized that we grow our own food in a natural way. And another thing, with his own hand, he drew a sketch and told how to build natural houses that are ecologically friendly and simple, with primarily from ingredients that were right there, and minimizing as far as possible having to take so many things from outside. And they were called Prabhupada houses. There was about 4 or 5 of them built, and Srila Prabhupada was so pleased. In other words, he wanted eco-friendly buildings. He actually wanted everything eventually to be built that way. So what we have here is marble is ecologically very sound, but to a very large extent, it's not completely the bricks that were used and various components of how things were put together is completely, totally in the spirit of those Prabhupada houses. The Prabhupada, he didn't just want, he insisted. So we're trying to please Srila Prabhupada. We're trying, according to our capacity, to do something that he considered a priority for the re-spiritualization of the society. In New Vrindavan, Prabhupada didn't talk about distributing books like he did at almost every other center. He talked about building these kinds of houses and growing this kind of food and protecting the cows. This was one of his main priorities. But unfortunately, in many places, things got off track. Itanagari, Srila Prabhupada wrote a whole thesis based on the concept of Gitanagari. And just to prove to us how important it was, you come to these farm communities so much. Came to New Vrindavan 4 times. We'd usually stay a couple weeks each time. In Taliban, when George Harrison got his property, Bhaktivedanta Manor, Prabhupada called it, I think, New Gokul. And he was talking about there, growing organic food and taking care of cows. focused on a farm community in Hyderabad. Yes, land was given to him. And I know at New Vrindavan, he also wanted it to be a place of pilgrimage, which in today's terminology would be like a retreat place. A place where people could actually come in this natural environment and learn the pure principles of bhakti. Just a few days ago, our very, very dear, beloved, worshipable God Sister Yamuna Devi Mataji passed from this world. And we know how close she was to Srila Prabhupada. She first met him in 1966, 26 Second Avenue. Personally helped Srila Prabhupada cook for her sister Janaki's wedding to who is now Mukunda Maharaj. And she, along with a few others, helped to start the center in San Francisco, helped to start the center in London. What they did in London, incredible. And she came to India, the first group of devotees to come to India. And in due course of time, Prabhupada put her and her husband Gurudas in charge of Vrindavan to develop the project there. And Yamuna Devi Mataji always has been so deep in everything she does. There's just nothing superficial about her. Whether she's cooking, she just goes to the essence of the perfection of cooking. Prabhupada asked her to learn how to cook, and she was traveling all directions getting recipes. She just went so deep into the science of cooking. She made a cookbook, and it was the #1 cookbook in the world. When she sang kirtan, you can hear her voice. Such emotion, such devotion, so deep, so much love. And Prabhupada said that she had attained bhava. This was in the 1970s. When she preached to people, it was with so much deep compassion. Her love for Srila Prabhupada, she was just so deep. And Yadubhav Prabhu is here. He can explain to us a little later today. I hope so. Giving you some warning. Because she so much lived for the legacy of Prabhupada. That's all she did. Literally, when her husband took sannyas in the mid-70s, without taking formal vows, she took the vow of being just like a sannyas. Body, mind, words, life, everything only for Prabhupada and Krishna. And she never deviated as long as she lived. Very rare. And she didn't have much support for anything. But she understood, because she understood Prabhupada so deeply. She understood the high priority of the simple living, high-thinking rural communities. People would beg her to come anywhere and live. She went to Sharanagati, and she built a house out of natural materials. It was at rammed earth. Rapeo. It's a simple natural technology, and the bricks of this place is a simple natural technology. It may be different processes, but the exact same spirit. She built a natural house in a farm. Her and the other members of the community were trying to grow their own food in a very natural way. And she lived that way for many, many years. It wasn't an easy life. Why did she choose to live like that? Because she knew how important it was to Srila Prabhupada that it be established. And she saw how it was being neglected, even in our farm communities, to really live in this spirit. And when we would tell her about the concept of this community here, of Govardhan, she would cry with hope and cry with joy that we were actually pursuing it on good principles, Prabhupada's principles. For this inauguration ceremony, we will dedicate to Yamuna Devi.
Haribo.
We will have a memorial service for her at Radha Gopinath Temple in the near future. We are dedicating the inauguration of this project to her love, to Yamuna Devi's pure love for Srila Prabhupada. And even though that place was so far from any medical facilities or anything, she just wanted to stay. She only moved away because her health was so bad, and it's so cold there. And big bears would come, walk around outside her house. Jagannath Prabhu showed me when I was there. So she loved it. Why did she love it? Because she loved Srila Prabhupada. So no, this is not a detail. This is a priority of Prabhupada's mission. Why? Because it's a priority for the re-spiritualization of society and for the sanctity of humanity. When Prabhupada was in his last months, he couldn't walk. He had practically nothing but bones and skin on his body. And yet, he went to London. And you know, when he went to London, he was actually on his way to Gitanagari in America. Because he wanted to show the importance of this natural farming and this cow protection. Somehow or other he had a serious crisis in London and he couldn't go further. So he came back to Vrindavan to leave this world. So yes, book distribution is a top priority. But if we actually study Srila Prabhupada, these rural communities were just as much a top priority. So that's why we are doing it. Srila Prabhupada had this vision. And we see today, if we only followed it along in all of these communities, our movement would be at the cutting edge of relevant spirituality for the world. This Dr. David Haberman, who was just here a few days ago, he had a PhD, head of the religion department at the University of Indiana in America. And he was telling me that there is such a movement in the universities and colleges toward environmentalism. Because these are intelligent people who have done intelligent research and studies. And whatever corporations and everybody say, they know as fact, there is no future for survival unless there's a total shift of priorities toward respecting Mother Earth. When everything seemed so all right, Srila Prabhupada saw this and emphasized it. And in many ways, because I was living at New Vrindavan, we were doing it, but it was just in faith in Srila Prabhupada. Almost blind faith, because it just didn't seem at all relevant or practical. Because there wasn't really, cancer was not that much in those days. Ecological and pollution and all the things that we're seeing, global warming, we never heard these words in those days. It was just, whatever Prabhupada says, we just do it, whether the moon's here or here, we just do it. That was kind of the movement. But now we see it's actually critical. Another incredible vision of Srila Prabhupada, how he saw into the future. He wanted these New Vrindavan and these other places to be places of pilgrimage. And somehow or other, there were distractions and everything like that. But now, practically in the West and in the East, for those of you who are actually aware, because the last couple of years I've actually been out there with people. The thing that transforms the public to actually commit themselves to spiritual movements, one of the main reasons is through retreats. It's something that we've hardly actually connected to the reality, but almost everybody else is doing it. And my God, they're attracting millions of people through retreats. People want retreats. They go to a temple, on Sunday and they do everything nice. But people, they want to go for a weekend or a week or a month or a year where they really feel they're in a completely spiritualized atmosphere and they're learning, they're being educated in every way. I can give so many examples, but literally, I could give examples that could take the rest of the day. There's a retreat center in Massachusetts called Kripalu Retreat Center. It has nothing to do with the Kripalu, it's the name. And it was started many years ago by a person who loved Prabhupada. His name was Yogi Amrita Desai. He was a yogi. And he began it, and little by little it became a retreat center. It's in a cold place, and it's not that close to anything. "365 days a year. They practically never have less than 1,000 people there. Throughout the year, they have, do you know how they run it? They run it without any costs. As far as human, personal, there's no employing anybody. They have an average of 500 volunteers at a time, all year round. People stand in line to volunteer to come there to serve. They invited me to speak on the Ramayana in August of this year. And I spoke to the person who was he was like the director in charge of the whole project. And he was explaining me how it worked. That people from all over America and Europe, they sign up to volunteer. Some live there for a year, some live there for a month, and they don't get paid anything. They don't get their expenses paid to get there, and they just serve. And while they're serving, they have to follow all the principles of the ashram. And there's usually minimum 500 to 1,000 people who come for the retreats. And they get classes, there's all sorts of, people came to hear Ramayana from me. They also have yoga classes and all sorts of different types of classes. They're doing the gardening. They're taking care of the guests. They're doing all the cleaning. They do everything. Because people just want to get away and come to a place where they're spiritually nourished. Just a couple of weeks ago, we went to Bangalore, to the Art of Living. And they have about 400 or 500 volunteers at a time, and about 1,000 people at a time also there. And the main reason people come is because there's seva to do. And there's things to learn. They have yoga and they have classes and so many other things. It's a retreat. When I was in Delhi, I met this really nice lady who's a best-selling author of a book. And she was going all the way up to Uttarkashi in the Himalayas to the Shivananda ashram because there was a retreat where you just absorb yourself in learning spiritual things and doing seva. And she said, why don't you people have retreats? We could go to your temple on Sunday, but we want to get away and actually have an intensive absorption in spirituality. There's Omega retreat center. I can't tell you how many retreat centers I've just seen and been to, and how incredibly successful they are, and how many people join movements through retreats. Yes? It's not a small thing. It's an experience. It's an experience that people are yearning for or longing for. And throughout the world, we hardly have that. Like all of you yearn for yatras, yes? Secular people outside of our community who have some spiritual oriented, they yearn even more for spiritual retreats, where we can just give them a full experience and absorption away from everything else. And if we do it right, from all over India and all over the world, people could come. But we have to give them a full experience. Things that they could really relate to, as well as the more esoteric aspects. The more esoteric aspects is actually understanding the essence of Bhagavad Gita as it is. Srimad Bhagavatam. What is bhakti? What is true devotion? What is devotional service? What is Nam Sankirtan? Actually, not just superficially, doing kirtan, not just superficially, just reading some books, but actually getting deeply educated by real practitioners who they feel the love and compassion of Prabhupada and Krishna. And at the same time, while doing that, body, mind, and soul, Ayurvedic treatment, Panchakarma massage, learning Ayurveda, learning farming, organic farming, learning yoga. We could have weekend retreats, week retreats, month retreats. People will come for entire year retreats if we provide it. And then what to speak of our own congregation, who's always yearning for service. Sometimes, when you start getting big and you just don't know how to engage people, qualified people. A place where, devotees from our congregation and sincere people from outside our congregation could come for a week and help with the guests, help with the farming, and learn how to take care of cows, and be part of the educational system. It's an incredible retreat. Our facility is an incredible way of engaging devotees, engaging the public. And I see so many of the teachers of yoga and so forth. That's how Buddhism has so much grown in the West. A lot of the reason that Buddhism is probably the fastest, it's definitely the fastest growing Eastern religion in the Western world. Through retreats. Dalai Lama and his lamas, for years and years and years, they've been having retreats where people just leave everything and go and just experience all of this. And the yogis who are really, really successful with many, many followers, so much of it is because they have retreats. Sometimes with dozens of people, sometimes with hundreds of people, sometimes with thousands of people. They have a place to bring them. For our own congregation, for our own brahmachari ashram, for devotees all over the world, for the general public, the yoga public. It's one of the most comprehensive, and it could be one of the most popular ways of really giving people a very deep, living experience of associating with devotees for weeks at a time, or days at a time, and actually practicing bhakti among devotees. And I believe that we'll be shocked to see how many people want this if we just set up something nice, which is almost at that point. And to create a retreat center that's very much centered around what Srila Prabhupada wanted. That was the vision. Because what Srila Prabhupada wanted is one of the primary concerns of the world today, of high-thinking people. A retreat center where people can see, could learn, and can eat organic, natural foods. How to do it. We can teach them. We can show them, we can feed them, we can teach them, and they'll help. My dear godbrother Tapapunj Prabhu at New Vrindavan today, he has a little organic garden, and he gets students from colleges from the local area and other parts of the country just to come to, and they just live with him and learn from him because they're so interested. Or to speak if there was a whole retreat environment where all day long they're learning various things. This is one of the reasons Srila Prabhupada wanted. He didn't want simply that we're healthy, eating nice, organic food that's offered to Krishna. That's part of it. He wanted us to exemplify and teach the world how to live like this. We can do that here. Srila Prabhupada wanted these natural, eco-friendly Prabhupada houses. He didn't call it Prabhupada houses. Some of the devotees call it Prabhupada houses because he designed it and they wanted it. So devotees went through tremendous efforts. Probably the topmost successful and respected eco-friendly builder in all of India, Chitra. She's the one that actually helped to build all this. People will come and see natural bricks that are made right here with our own soil. They can actually make bricks themselves. We can help them make their own house. They can make their own houses here. It's not going to be in their name, but they can make it. And people would love to do that. I can see in the future, now, we have these really nice, simple people who are hiring to help to build these things. But for the, for phases beyond this, I could see where we'll just have volunteers who are so excited to just come and build the houses, just because they want to be part of the experience. They do it in the West. They do it in India. People from all over the world go to Oroville and Pondicherry. There are so many retreats at these different yoga centers in Rishikesh. What's that one place we went just north of Rishikesh a little? They asked me to come and give a lecture. It's a retreat center where people from all over the world come. They take about, I think, 60 at a time. That's their maximum. And they are booked every day of the year. And they don't have a free space for the next 5 years. And it's a simple place where people learn philosophy, they learn yoga, they do different kinds of natural chores, like that. And it's mostly people from all over the world. They have a line, I believe, for 5 years now. Radhakund Prabhu, you're here?
Yes.
What's the name of that place? Pooljati. Was it 5 years, they said?
Yes.
People come. When I spoke there, it wasn't just a group. It was people from everywhere. When I spoke there was people from Iran, from America, from Australia, from Africa, from Israel. There were people from Bahrain. There were people from China. There were people from Japan. There were people from Mexico. And yes, there were people from India. And this is just one group that I happen to be. And some of these people signed up to come for that. They come for 2 weeks at a time. They leave everything. They got in 2 weeks at a time, and there's people from all around. They signed up about 3 years in advance to get that 2 weeks. And it's not that there's a famous teacher. It's actually, where's that lady from? From America. So an American lady and an Indian lady are the teachers. And there's a Swami who does the accounts. He's a saintly person, but he doesn't teach, he just does the accounts. Because it's a retreat, and there's a valuable way that you can be absorbed for 2 weeks there. And ISKCON, you know, with all of its connections and all the people we know, it's just, it's unlimited how a retreat center, if we just do it right and give people a good experience, we could transform so many people's hearts with pure bhakti. It was Prabhupada's vision. And how much it will be respected if they see organic farming, beautiful cow protection, and they see our buildings are built in eco-friendly ways. People will respect us so much more because when they see that we're doing things in this way, with this type of construction, and the water harvesting, we were talking about how water is so precious for life and how it's becoming more and more scarce on this planet. Each of the houses here, during the monsoons, it's all the houses, right? There's water tanks under the buildings. I know I saw the one I'm staying. There's water tanks built under it. And every drop of water practically that falls on the roof of every building, the water goes in a very natural way. Where I'm staying, it goes to a hole, and then there's little chains that go down, and the water just goes, drips in the chains, and pours down, and it all goes into the water tank. And the water for that building, for about 9 months of the year, is supplied from the monsoon. In most places, 100% of that sacred water of the monsoon is just lost. Just falls off the roof into the ground and nobody ever sees it. This is technology. It's best primary forms. So when people see this, they'll really, yes, you people, you live what you teach. People respect. It's Prabhupada's vision. It's Prabhupada's dream. It's Prabhupada's order. And we're just so honored and grateful. By Krishna's grace, we have, Krishna gave us people and funding to get it started. Cow protection. What is cow protection? What was Prabhupada's vision of cow protection? It wasn't just not killing them. It was making them happy from the day of their birth to the day of their natural death. That's protection. Protection is physical, emotional, and spiritual. I remember listening to a tape, it was somewhere in India, and Prabhupada was talking about the importance of cow protection. And in a very simple way, he said at New Vrindavan we have these cows, and when the leader of the community calls the cows by their names, they come running to him because they're so happy. Now personally, I never saw that. But That's what Prabhupada wanted. The cows were happy. Prabhupada said the barometer of the spirituality of any society is calculated by how happy the cows are. If cows, protection means loved. Right? You know, we say that a husband should protect wife. Now, protecting wife doesn't mean keeping the wife in a little cell. And she's only let out at certain times of the day. And nobody rapes her or kills her. It's not protection. Protection means the wife feels so loved and so much encouraged and so much inspired that she's happy. We protect, the purpose of parents is to protect children. That doesn't mean you put a chain around their neck and keep them, you know, staked to the ground so that they don't get hit by a car. It means, you know, the real protection is actually the physical protection is more the reassurance that you're loved. If you're actually protecting your husband or your wife or your children properly, that when you're protecting their physical bodies by providing food or providing clothes or providing shelter of a house, providing medicines, all these things, the real protection is it's given with such love that people feel loved by that. The idea of all exchanges is really meant to be an exchange of love. So protecting the cows means to really care about them, to really love them, to really want them to be happy, to give them a very beautiful quality of life. Sometimes, you know, because we're distracted by so many other priorities, the extent of our cow protections, we make sure they don't get sent to a slaughterhouse. That's not Prabhupada's vision. So we want to create a Goshala here where when people come on pilgrimage, when people come on retreats, they'll be astonished. They'll see that the facilities for the cow is not just to make ends meet for the cows. They'll see the way they're cared for by the nature of the structure in which they're in, by the nature of how the people are handling them. In every way, they'll think, these people, they actually love these cows. And everything that is around the cows, they should see it's actually a very conscientious choice of love for them. They really care about them, like their own children, like their own mothers. That's cow protection. That was one of the primary forms of outreach in Krishna consciousness that Prabhupada established. And that's what we want to do now. That's the next, second phase. To create a Goshala that's just so conscious of making cows happy that even if people can't necessarily duplicate it where they're living, in downtown Delhi or something, the principle strikes right into the core of their heart. People love the cows. That's Vrindavan. That's what Shukadeva Goswami teaches us in Srimad Bhagavatam. We read in the Gopal Chandru how Krishna, he's the all-pervading Paramatma in everyone's hearts. He knows everything. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani varjuna. Krishna says, I know everything past, present, and future. I know all living beings. How did he express that in Vrindavan? If a cow had an itch under her neck, Krishna would know right where the itch was, and he would come and scratch it. The cow had an itch under her tail, Krishna would come and scratch her tail. With so much love that the cow the cow just felt so loved by Krishna. Then another cow had an itch in the back of her ear, and Krishna would come and scratch her ear and start talking to her. And another little, a calf would be out in the pastures with Krishna, and the calf would be missing her mother, and Krishna would come up to the calf and say, he said, I'll bring you to your mother right now if you're missing your mother. And then the calf wouldn't be missing her mother anymore because she felt Krishna's motherly love. This is how Krishna took care of the cows. It's not that he just made sure that Kamsa didn't slaughter them. He loved them. He took care of them and expressed it. And Srila Prabhupada wanted to teach the world the alternative to cow slaughter by teaching how to actually love and care for the cows with such depth. Unless there's really depth in our hearts, in our efforts, and the symbols in which we manifest what we create for them, it's not going to have an impact. So we want a simple but beautiful Goshala that's actually an expression for the cows to see, for ourselves to see, and for the whole world to see. That we love Krishna's cows. And we want to take care of them in such a thoroughly sweet and beautiful way that people from any part of the world, wherever they come, they can recognize this is love. And then they will take cow protection seriously. I don't believe they will otherwise. The first phase of the buildings here are now almost complete. To really make this place the spiritual world home, we need to landscape it. Without landscaping, it's like all these beautiful buildings that we'll see today, they're like rough, uncut jewels. Without being polished and without being an aesthetic. The landscaping is actually more important than the buildings themselves. In the sense that you can't really appreciate the atmosphere is not so nice, eco-friendly buildings. People will really experience the sweetness of these eco-friendly buildings when there's a very, very natural landscape around it. When people are actually, there's beautiful trees and there's beautiful gardens and there's like Vrindavan. It's not that Vrindavan, Krishna's house, was surrounded by construction site and gravel. It's not like that. The idea of Govardhan is to have an overall experience where people's hearts are charmed by bhakti. Where there's transformation. Ayurveda is the type of medicine. Srila Prabhupada was open to every type of medicine. Srila Prabhupada said, do the needful. When he was in New York and he He had that stroke in 1966, and he went to the hospital and was treated. In London, when he had that complication, just toward the end of his leelas, and he went to the hospital. In fact, I went to that same hospital and got treated. And some of our devotees know the doctor that treated Prabhupada. I think I met him also. So Prabhupada would go to hospitals, and he would send devotees to hospitals. But Prabhupada's preferred method of medicine was certainly Ayurveda. Because that form of medicine is so close to Krishna consciousness. It was directly established by Krishna in the form of Dhanvantari. And other things are like branches of Ayurveda. And it's incredible. There are Ayurvedic doctors who teach Ayurveda in the West. Amazing how popular it is. In Pune, there's a wonderful man, Dr. Vasant Vad, who I met when I was in Bhaktivedanta Manor. Every year, at Bhaktivedanta Manor, he teaches courses in Ayurveda to his own students, who are all actually doctors. And for the advanced course, there's usually about 200-300 doctors who have trained to be Ayurvedic doctors under him. He has hundreds and hundreds of people who come, and it's a retreat. They come for about a week and just stay with him and learn in Bhaktivedanta Manor. It's extremely popular, and it's natural, and it so sweetly harmonizes with bhakti. Because people do want, they want a place where they can get healthy as well as healthy emotionally, spiritually, and physically also. So we have an Ayurvedic center. And we have a yoga shala. Srila Prabhupada never said anything against yoga in and of itself, Hatha Yoga. What he was against is thinking that one can attain self-realization through that alone. But the fact is, of all forms of exercise, yoga is the closest thing to Krishna consciousness. It's the Vedic form of exercise. Srila Prabhupada walked. Walking is a kind of yoga too, if you do it for Krishna. It is yoga, it's bhakti yoga. So similarly, if we do asanas or pranayam for a healthy body to use in Krishna's service, that's bhakti yoga. And it's so popular. When I was going to Bangalore for this yoga retreat about a week ago, I saw, as we were getting on the airplane, there was an advertisement for the HSBC Bank. They have these, they don't say you should, they just give statistics and then they just have their name under it. And I guess people think, that's really interesting, so maybe I should go to that bank. But they have a lot of enlightening statistics. And do you know how big the game industry is today? All the computerized games, and I don't even know it. The game industry is massive. Well, this statistic said worldwide, the yoga industry is more profitable and bigger than the game industry. People are becoming multi-millionaires through yoga. He's teaching it, developing yoga centers, and where the most money is in yoga is retreats. I know some of the very prominent yogis in the West. They have their yoga center and they're profitable. But where they really get the biggest profits is when they have retreats, where they just take people somewhere else, you know, to outside of the city and just have a retreat there for a week or a month, whatever. It's extremely popular. Why not take that popularity of yoga, or the Ashtanga yoga concepts, and harmonize it with bhakti? It's absolutely in harmony with our philosophy to take what's favorable for Krishna consciousness and engage it in Krishna service. And of course, people from all over India and all over the world, to have comfortable places. These devotees, they work so hard to create such wonderful, wonderful facilities where there can be seminars, there can be lectures. It's actually yes, just I'm just kind of skipping around, but I hope you're happy. We have a mountain here. People spend an amazing amount of energies to go mountain climbing. Really, it's one of the most popular sports in the world, mountain climbing. We have this incredible mountain right on our property. It takes 3 hours to get up there, just the right amount of time, and 2 hours to come down. And not only that, there's a fort of Chhatrapati Shivaji on top of the mountain. You know how fascinating and esoteric that is? Climb this, we have this mountain, mountain climbing yoga, and you go up and see Chhatrapati Shivaji's fort 400 years ago. And then you have like a big feast up there, and a kirtan, and then come down. And just a few minutes away, there's a perfectly clean river that's flowing. This land has so many beautiful features that could really excite people. Because the way Srila Prabhupada actually wanted us to transform people, not only through philosophy, but through engagement. If people are actively engaged in devotional service in a very meaningful way, for devotees, as well as people in general. People are pretty sickly these days. People are pretty depressed these days, stressed out. So they come here, Ayurveda, yoga, Bhagavad Gita, japa, kirtan, mountain climbing. We have a lake for rowing boats. It's all. We have a playground for the children, and a playground for adults too. When they showed me that playground, I said, what about the children? What about slides and swings? They have all these sophisticated, like, philosophical purport types of playgrounds. And as far as I can see, they're really dangerous. So, when you put people from IIT in charge of making a playground, you have to kind of modify it at the end. It's just a whole area just for children. It's beautiful. So this is a vision. As far as from an environmental perspective, we talked about the water harvesting. There's also a plant. And I know one of the biggest, most successful retreat centers in America. I was there doing some programs. And they were so much showing me with such pride and enthusiasm how they take every drop of sewage and make it into something precious. Because if we want to show the world, this is going to be critical in the future. And we have devotees from IIT and others who created this natural, totally natural, no chemicals, no anything, sewage refinery. You'll all get to see it today. Where all the nectar from the toilets. This is just as good as doing it in the fields. It's even better, actually, for many people. It's like the best of both worlds. Every drop of what comes out of the toilets, with all the recycled Mahaprasad. It all goes into this plant, and what was the, what was my interpretation when I was here last? Oh yes, yes. The person who created this has a PhD from IIT, yes? What's his name? Nicola, is he here? Will you stand up, please? He's come and designed this, yes. PhD, professor from IIT. And when I saw what he created, anyways, you know the way I am. What was it? Oh yes, my PhD was processor of human dung. Needs in the world, where all the dung is extracted from the water, and the dung is made into fertilizer, yes. And all the water and the urine and everything else is filtered and refined, so it's actually really, really good water, and it fills tanks, and it can be used to water the crops. Of course, if you want to use it for any other reason. And it will also be used for the toilets. So all the water in the toilets is totally recycled, but in a very pure and clean and transparent way. So it'll be for the crops, and so in that way, not a drop of water is lost. Not a drop of urine is lost. Not a drop of human dung is lost. We have devotees one devotee got a PhD at Penn State University, one of the very prestigious colleges in America. He's helping with the alternative energy, transforming the cow dung into electricity, transforming solar rays into electricity, transforming the wind into electricity. This is so much what Prabhupada wanted. Simple living, high thinking. And once we develop it, there's a tremendous potential that the world will be watching. And when people see that we're living with high principles and high integrity, they really want to hear what you say. we have with us Ekavir Prabhu and Prajalila Devi, who will be speaking to us later tomorrow, I think. And His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, the Guru. He lectured and did kirtans and did counseling, and he traveled the whole world. And his base was Gita Nagari. And by his own free will, he chose to depart from this world at Gita Nagari to make a statement of how important this vision of spiritual community based on these sacred principles was so much important to humanity and so dear to Srila Prabhupada. Also developing soil biotechnology. That's that, right? What we just talked about, PhD. Adventure sports. There's a swimming pool. Where that fits in, everyone could use your own imagination. It's an actual swimming pool. But people like to swim. It's beautiful exercise. Yadubhar Prabhu was the first human being to swim in that pool. So the whole pool was Yadubhar Prabhu's Charanamrita. This is Abhishek. It's not just a place, nursery, growing flowers, and vegetables and herbs, ideas for the Ayurvedic pharmacy. So many of the herbs will be grown right here. It's really so much of a honor that we're all so grateful that we can work together for this project. It really can be a wonderful offering to Srila Prabhupada, a wonderful offering to Lord Krishna, Sri Radha, a wonderful offering to humanity. And of course, the substance of it, of how we actually transform our own hearts and others' hearts, is going to be to the degree we not only develop it, but we utilize it in a spirit of service. In a spirit where people will naturally, spontaneously just want to chant the holy names of the Lord. Want to dive into the ocean of pure devotional service. And if we do it with sensitivity, if we don't fight with each other, if we keep Krishna in the center, keep humility as the armor that protects us from Maya's exploitation, if we stick to Srila Prabhupada's basic principles of living a moral life, no illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, meat eating, if we access Krishna's mercy, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda's mercy through sincerely chanting the holy names, and if we're actually Vaishnavas, forgiving, open-hearted, and really concerned with the well-being of each other. Nobody's trying to control, nobody's trying to be on top, everyone's trying to serve. If we can just capture this spirit, then there will be an empowerment so great that will lift each and every one of us to Goloka Vrindavan and can attract literally thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds and thousands of people to that same state of consciousness. I can see it. We just do it right. with the right consciousness. Farming, cow protection, retreat center. Things can grow and grow and grow. Or we could have hundreds of volunteers here. Definitely. We just develop it organically as people become interested. We could have hundreds of volunteers coming here from all over the world, living by the principles of Srila Prabhupada's pure bhakti. Because when people go on retreats to an ashram, they have to follow all the rules of the ashram. And they love it. It's really an experience of a life. And they can taste bhakti. They can have immense engagement, satisfying engagement for our whole congregation, for the ISKCON society, for the world at large. People that can be nourished with Krishna's grace in unforgettable ways. Transformation. It is these ideals that are being inaugurated today through the medium of the different buildings that we may be visiting. In the loving service of Srila Prabhupada and in honor of his loving daughter Yamuna Devi, we have come today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, for that
few moments more of putting you in separation from prasad. There are so many other projects happening here. I was just kind of speaking what was coming to my heart. But cottage industries is going to be something that will develop also. Right now, the ladies who live here, they make kakras. Kakara. And they'll leave so many different types of special foods, prasad, that will be manufactured here in natural ways. There'll be spinning wheels, like Sriman Mahatma Gandhi used to do. So people could come and actually make their own clothes. Of course, of time, and they may be like Natavavas unless they That will be fascinating for people in India as well as abroad to actually see natural making of clothes through spinning wheels. And Prabhupada wanted that very much. We'll have that available for people. We'll have like a gift shop of things that are produced here. There's so many different products. Sanat Kumar is absolutely an incredible Vaishnava devotee. His dedication here, Gauranga Prabhu already said, but what can I say except just eternally grateful. He was the main person to really be here through all these years and make it happen. And he has such a beautiful vision. He has somehow or other endangered species of rice, indigenous to India, each one with a special color, fragrance, flavor, and medicinal value. And he's actually growing. And it may be in due course of time that outside of this community, and maybe one other place in India, this rice will be extinct from the planet. You know, before foreign influences just, hybrid rice to make it something that's a cash crop. This is actual quality. But all of your foremothers and forefathers used to eat here in India. The kind of rice that Yashoda and I would make kheer for Krishna. And there will be many products like that that are grown here and manufactured here. Actually, the imagination can be stimulated to just incredible opportunities once we really get in that momentum. You kind of saw what happened in Radha-Yatra. Incredible opportunities. And there's one name that Gauranga Prabhu naturally left out when he was telling all the people who helped so much. And that is a person who's one of the busiest people I've ever met. But when you give him a project, he jumps on it. And he just puts his heart, his soul, his life into making it happen. Sometimes he's just so absorbed. It's like a jet airplane. And you know, if you're too close, you might kind of get blown away. It's the momentum of his total surrender and devotion. And this, you know, the aspect of creating this eco-friendly retreat center is only an idea for many years in our hearts. He actually took it up and committed himself, did the research along with Vasudev Prabhu and so many others who we see now what has happened. So we should also say Hare Bol for the selfless efforts of Gauranga Prabhu. All the other selfless devotees who have actually contributed so much, who may not have been spoken of. People like Shyamananda Prabhu and Govinda Prabhu and Radha Gopinath Prabhu. Sanat Kumar's confidential associates. Really so many of you and people beyond here. Everyone who has helped knows who you are. So let us say Hare Bol for all of you. Radha Krishna Prabhu and Palika Devi, you know, a very major part of this community is going to be our relationships and the transformation of the villagers who are all around us. And Rup Raghunath Prabhu, who came to Krishna consciousness through the Lady North Hope Hindu Orphanage. He was one of the kids in the orphanage when we took over that orphanage by Srinath Prabhu and Maitri Devi's love. We were able to take care of those orphans. And now Raghunath Prabhu is incredible how empowered he is going to these villages, transforming people's hearts. I believe just as one of the fruits of his efforts of his going to the local villages who were not at all favorable when we first came. Of course, Sanat Kumar Prabhu and Sri Nandanandana Prabhu, you know, they made good relations with them. Raghunath goes to these places and he's taking the villagers of the area on a yatra to Mayapur, I think next month. And how many are going? How many? 450 of the villagers have been touched so deeply by his preaching and kirtan and dramas that he has the little kids from our Gurukul. It used to be an orphanage, now it's a Gurukul. They do dramas, and 450 villagers are going to Sri Mayapur. special gratitude to Ajay Piramal and Swati Piramal. They've actually funded it. And Radha Krishna Prabhu and Palika Devi, their incredible brilliance and genius in this field of Prabhupada's compassion. How many children in this area are you feeding now in the schools?
45,000.
In this area, 45,000. That will be an incredible foundational offering to this community. You see, too often we isolate ourselves, but through Raghunath Prabhu, Sanat Kumar Prabhu, Radha Krishna Palika Devi, actually integrating Krishna consciousness into all the villages around us. In Bhakti Vedanta Hospital, Madhavananda Prabhu, Orkadesh Prabhu, Giriraj Prabhu, Vaishnav Seva Prabhu, Vishnu Prabhu, all the other people. We have a medical clinic here too. Bhakti Vedanta Hospital created a medical clinic where doctors come regularly to take care of the villagers, along with spiritual care, body, mind, and words. And that's creating such immense goodwill and also transforming people to really appreciate and understand Krishna consciousness in a special way. So there are so many who are doing so much, and it's just a very tiny beginning, because so many more. Once we have some facilities created here, there will be so many opportunities for so many more to do so much. And I really believe it could be a very splendid, shining jewel and crown of Prabhupada's accomplishments in this world. And I thank you all very, very much.